Yes, sir.
Awesome. Hey, Satyam, right?
Yes, sir.
Ah, nice to meet you.
Uh, Welcome, sir. I am sir. Welcome to this industry insider by Hacker Unity. I am Satyam. As an intro, I am currently in BTech.
Nice. Which university?
Sir, Arya College of Engineering in
Nice.
Jaipur.
Jaipur. Nice.
Yes.
That's nice.
So let's
Uh,
start.
are you in the final years or are you like started engineering?
Yes, sir. I have. I am in currently second year of the college. I've just started. It has been a
Hey,
year only.
nice. That reminds me of when I was in second year engineering.
Oh, yes, sir. So let's start.
Sure, sounds good. How would you like to proceed from here?
Sir, we would like to know something about you, simply your professional journey. I would like to start from that, uh, uh, from your college, how you started. Multiple questions I have regarding that. So it would be good if you have started with your intro, like to introduce.
Sure, sure. That sounds good. My name is Mihir Shelar. Just like all of you, I am an engineering student from Bombay University. I graduated in 2013 and I started as a software developer at Mastech. It's a firm. It's a UK based firm, but they had an office in Mumbai, and I was working there for a year before I started pursuing my masters. I went to Rutgers University. It's a university in New Jersey, and I did my masters there. While I was doing my masters, I was working as the lead web developer for the official website of the university itself. So they have their own women in technology website, and I was the lead designer who actually went ahead and published that website to production for the first time in 2015. Uh, by the time I graduated in 2016, I had a full time job in Motorola Solutions, again as a software engineer. And from there, I went to Hyundai Motor America. That was an interesting gig because at Hyundai Motor America, I worked on the first virtual reality applications in the automobile industry. We launched it on Play Store and App Store. We had this augmented reality app where you could actually look at certain features in your car. So you could just point your phone at certain features in the car, and the app would explain you how the car functions, how this button functions, what it does. It would even do certain mechanical jobs like how to replace air filters, how to change your oils on some of these Hyundai Motor America vehicles. And I went on to do that until 2017. That's when I joined Amazon. It's my I'm completing 9 years in a month, and I'll be entering my 10th year at Amazon now. And within Amazon, I have transitioned through a whole journey. I started as a software engineer. I went ahead and became a mid-tier software engineer. Went ahead and became a technical program manager, and right now I'm working as a senior technical program manager. Uh, right now, in what I do is end-to-end ownership for the launch of the devices itself. So it's a blend of hard HDLC plus SDLC, tightly coupled into each other to make sure that we are able to launch the products as you get them. So if you go on Amazon.com right now, search for Kids Fire tablets. I mean, sorry, it's not there in India yet. We are right now
Oh,
selling in US, UKD, Canada, and Japan. But if you go to Amazon.com, which is a US website, and search for kids tablets, there are three variants that we sell. It's a 7-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch tablet. And I was the launch TPM for all three of them that are getting sold on Amazon.com right now. We have some exciting new things coming up as well. So I'll be the launch TPM for that. That's my current job. The journey has been like through last 13 years. That's how long I've been in the industry. Uh, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
yes, sir. That sounds like fascinating. I cannot even have some words on that because of experience level differences. but it sounds quite a bit of a big experience from how you did things like in college after switching to job. It's quite a experience, you can say. Sir, I would like to ask, what difficulty as in this professional journey as a student you have faced?
I can, I can, I can. I'm actually like talking to you, like trying to recollect all those student days, right? I think as a student, right, your world is a little bit more binary, right? Like I think what I've learned over the period of years is that uh, like coding and compiling code is a piece of the puzzle. There is a larger puzzle in play, which you only get to know when you get into these broader roles, right? I'll just give a very like tactical example, right? When I was a developer, all I cared, like in my very initial days in my student life, all I used to care was if my code could compile, right? Because
Oh,
that was my passing criteria. Like all
yes.
I cared was like, hey, does my code compile? If I compiles, then I was like, does it give a valid answer? Boom, I'm done. I have passed the examination. I'm done there, right? And as I graduated and started my first job as a software engineer, it became slightly a little bit more than that, right? Like, hey, does my code compile, run, and is the logic workable? Because you have these code reviews, you will have peer reviewed codes, right? Like your
Yes.
seniors will like start grilling it. They'll be like, no, no, this is not the optimal way to do things, right? So you get your boundaries get pushed a little bit beyond just making it run. As a student, your job is to just make things run. As an entry level developer, your job is to make it run in an optimal way, which is a little bit more closer to what production ready code is, right? As you scale upwards, your challenges become more to getting it actually running in a real world, right? That's the pivotal twist that I see between a student and all these years that have happened through my career. What I've realized is that writing logic, it's only like 10% of the job. The other 90% is in creating this operational resilience, right? And when I say operational resilience is like making sure, like even if you're writing a small piece of code, how do you guarantee that? And especially at scale like Amazon, right? Even if it's a small logic you're writing, it has to work even if 100,000 customers hit that endpoint at exact same millisecond, right? And
Oh,
what
yes, sir.
happens, right? Because now you're talking about scale. The logic works, but would it work if like 1,000 customers hit it? If it would it work if 10,000 customers hit it at the same millisecond? If it wouldn't, what would happen? Would it crash? Would it handle it gracefully, or would it self heal? Right? And then this is just your system, right? Who are your downstream dependencies? Who's consuming your service to do some other things, right? So every piece of puzzle, it's like you are every logic is like playing a part in the broader puzzle. And that's, I think, what I've learned over these years is that, hey, being a student, all I cared about was making my code work, my logic work. And now it's more about building a system architecture that actually can scale into a business, right? And that's the biggest shift I think as a student you should look out for, because we are so deep into coding and getting things working. We sometimes tend to forget, like, hey, it's not just about the happy path scenarios. It's more about the failure scenarios that builds a good system. It's not like happy path scenarios are ones that will get tested the most and ones that you will get the most claps around, but the real operational resilience is in the negative scenarios.
Yes. So
Yeah,
it
that,
is
that's my
quite a, yes.
yeah, that's been my learning. Like I've learned it the hard way, but you all don't have to learn it the hard way. Like I'm telling you, the trick is in uh, thinking more about the negative scenarios and collecting them beforehand, and that's what will give you production ready softwares, right? Like that's what is the real deal than just building happy paths. And that's where like I've been mentoring a lot of hackathons, and I see a lot of projects come in, right? And they all have this happy path scenarios which are functional. And the moment you try to diverge a little bit away from them, they like completely crash. And that's what my guidance to everybody is, like, if you want to get this production ready, think about how you would handle the negative scenarios more than how you would handle the just the happy path scenario.
Yes, sir. Sir, more it is quite like I have also been coding for just compilation. Like it compiled, I see it. I do not even think about like just you gave me a new perspective of thinking how a code should in scalable factor also. But that is quite a point that we have to think all of the factors that are affecting it, like in scaling, like how many people are going to uh, use that or different. So on that, I have a question. So simply on building projects, when you think of scaling like at a level of Amazon, what are the main core principle you think of in mind, like in terms of that in scaling, like two, three factors or so? What are the main factors you or principle you follow? Like,
Yeah,
can you?
yeah. I'll take a step back, right? And I'll tell you is absolutely what happens at Amazon. Especially in like management roles, there is a pressure system created on both sides, right? There is a management pressure where you have to deliver something which is market critical at the right time, because you're Amazon, you are always expected to do something first in the market, right? You are not a follower, you are a leader of the industry. So there's always that constant pressure, innovation pressure, that's there in Amazon. At the same time, you have to build these systems that can really scale, because once Amazon launches it, it's not like only 1,000 customers will adopt to it, right? I mean, like, our customer base is in millions. So we need to make sure, like, hey, a million customers might hit this button at the same time and it should be working and functional. So my theory around how to go build such systems is, never like never build an application or even a small service in a black box. That's the worst thing that you can do, right? You like, and that happens a lot because as an engineer you are assigned one task,
Yes, sir.
right? You will get one task and you will be like, okay, make this button work. I'm just giving an example, and you are like, okay, I'm going to think about this button, it should work, right? That's the biggest problem that people face. That's why you need to have these mechanisms where you have team wide sprint planning, where you are aware about your partner's tasks, you are aware about what like the entire team is doing and its impact on the other architectural systems. And the way I try to coach people is, you cannot just do and finish a task where you have built it just to make it work. You need to think about how to be able to debug that code. You need to think about what are the console logs you are going to add. You can, like, if you are hit with a sev 2, you cannot just frantically think about, like, I don't know what's going wrong here, right? So you cannot be emotion driven or guessing driven, right? So we need to have latency metrics, we need to have console logs, we need to have operational metrics for features that you are developing, right? Because you are trying to scale this product, and you have to have this structured logging and centralized telemetry systems from day one. You cannot do this later on. So if you're building something, you need to, like, as a team, you need to have think about, hey, how are we going to do our telemetrics? What are the operational logs that we're going to build on from day one, so we can have some dashboards and we can monitor every day, and we can have some alarms and metrics set from the start itself, right? So we should have latency alarms, we should have, click throughput rate, we should have uh, failure rates, blah blah blah, and we need to define what is going to be our alarm rate for each one of our services. So, like, if you are able to see like 100 customers failing per minute, that's a step two for you, right? Because now you have already understood that something started going wrong. So you
Yes.
can set these alarms pretty early on in the game, so that a customer doesn't need to call you to understand that something is going wrong. You can alarm yourself, and you can create these metrics on your own end while you're building something out, right? That's the way I like to think about it, like, not just building the front end UI, right? The real game is in building the right load balancers, building the right alarms, metrics, and these operational resilience that will actually scale through the amount of people who are going to use your services. and also keep you well prepared. Like, you will be hit with a Sev 2 in Amazon. There's no way you're not going to be hit with a Sev 2. The real question is, when you're hit with a severity 2 issue, right, at 2 a.m. at midnight, do you have a system built out so efficiently that anybody on your team can start looking at logs, metrics, alarms, and try to dig deep and figure out what exactly is broken, where it's broken, what are your downstream dependencies, keep those communicated, right? Like, if your service is down, the 10 others who are consuming your service are going to be down in next 5 to 10 minutes, right? So you need to start escalating right now and letting them know that, hey, we are down, you're going to get impacted in next 15 minutes. So that's the way to approach it. Take a step back, think about designing the system architecture. Coding is again like 10% of the game. Thinking about all of these infrastructural resilience is the real key. You can call it like defensive infrastructure as well. Like, defend your, you know, my bachelor's is actually in electrical engineering, right? And
Yes.
my master's is in computer science. But I started as an electrical engineer. So you have these circuit breakers in electronics, right? So if your voltage suddenly spikes, the circuit breaks. And the
Yes.
reason to do that is because, you don't want to destroy your appliances or catch fire to the appliances, right? That's the same logic you have to put to place in computer science, right? You need to have circuit breaks, right? Because you should be able to detect the spikes even before they actually hit a broad number of customers. So you should be able to detect number of click rate that you had per second, the number of failure rates that you have on average, and is it spiking through the day, which can give you a trend that, hey, something's going wrong, right? Right after a deployment. So that's, if you build this defensive infrastructure, you know, deploying to prod won't feel as painful. Like, I have seen, like, as an engineer myself, I used to be so scared about deploying to prod because I was like, hey, I'm going to click this button and suddenly like millions of customers are going to get this change. What if it doesn't work? What if something breaks? And deployment used to be scary. But if you have all of these systems built out, then it becomes a smooth sailing place where, everybody can deploy code. You're not that worried because you have these safety nets just built out. And even for deployment, like, I can just dive deep a little bit into what we do for deployments as well. Even for deployments, we have these like stages, right? You have a beta, you have a gamma, and then you have a prod. So you have to deploy to beta and gamma environments first. You can test those things in beta and gamma environments. So you have these simulated prod environments where you can actually test the real customer experience just to a point to the gamma environment and test things out. And that's when you get like real confidence, like, hey, my automated tests are passing, my unit tests are passing, all of this is working in gamma. Then you propagate it to prod. That's all of this is like that defensive architecture that you need to build around your own coding system. So
Yes,
coding
sir.
is again 10% part of the game.
Yes, sir. Sir, I completely agree with whatever you said. It feels relatable when we go on hackathons and we build stuff, and suddenly they are asking on how much audience or traffic it can handle, and we go quiet. That the part we are missing, like the system architecture you told just about that. And also there is a quote I have been following, that says master of jack of all trades and a master of one. That is what you just said to me. Like, we have to know everything, or we have to have an idea of many things to be a master of one thing, in coding also as a developer or a major roles on that. And I have a question in mind. Let's say there is a fresher who want to start from understanding the code, then going for a job role. How should he really start? What's the if you are starting, let's say there is a hypothetical situation, you are starting now as a computer science engineer uh, at this era where AI is probably in boom. What would you do here? Because you have lot of experience, and we can get something like for the students.
Yeah, of course. And I'm big on mentoring, even hackathon students. Like, when you said, I'll just take a moment back. Uh, when a hackathon judge is actually asking you for how much throughput rate or how many, how much of stress this service can handle, uh, even if you don't have an answer, I'll give you a trick around it. They are looking for if you have actually thought about it, not actually if you have built it out, right? So you can always defend that position saying like, hey, right now it can only handle 100 customers, but we have thought about it. Like as soon as we get our first 50 customers, we're going to scale it up in this fashion. So what the hackathon judge is actually looking for is, have you even thought about it? Have you even built it in a way where tomorrow if you get 1,000 or 10,000 customers, can you scale it? Because if you haven't built it in the way at all, then you have to refactor everything, right?
Yes, sir.
It is an expensive thing to do. So what the hackathon, and I think like coming as a judge, I know you guys are in a limited time span building MVPs, right? So I cannot expect a hackathon project to be handling 100,000 click rate
Yes, sir.
because you don't have the infrastructure. Why would you be paying AWS bills for 100,000 when you don't have the customers? But what I'm really looking for is, have you thought about it? Because if you're really thinking about hackathon as a business, right, or as an MVP to kick off a startup, you should think about it. That's what really the hackathon judges want. So just FYI for your next hackathon, like you can always say like, hey, we thought about it. This is how we're going to do it. We haven't done it, but this is our approach, and that's what they're looking for. If you have thought about it.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That leaves
I
a
just
quite impression on them. Like they also, yes.
that's what I'm looking for. Like whenever I'm
Oh,
asking this question, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Have you thought about it? Right? Like not have you built it. You have limited time. You have to choose what features to build, what infrastructure to build. So you can't really build everything. Anyways, like going back to your question, what would I do if I just graduated, right? Uh, I think it's easy to get caught up in the AI world and lose your focus. I would keep the noise out. It sounds easy, but it's tough to do in real world. But that's the trick, and it happens with every era of engineers. Like every time there is a wave, engineering is about innovation. Whenever there is an innovation, uh, people are initially scared about it, right? Like, what is it going to do? Like, is it going to eat all the jobs? Like, are engineers out of jobs? And that's not true at all. Like, you're not going to be out of jobs. What really needs to happen is everybody needs to upskill now, upskill to
yes,
these new tools that you have, and this happens every single time. Like you have, if you go back like last 50 years, right? Hey, you didn't have internet, you got internet. Everybody had to upskill how to use internet. Hey, you got internet, now you got laptops, right? Everybody has to upskill it. Then came the dot coms, right? You need to know how to do HTML, CSS. There's no way around it. Everybody's building websites. Boom, you have to do it. Then came apps, Androids, iOS, right? You have to be an app developer. You need to know that, right? So every time that boundary gets pushed, and what happens is things get easier because as innovators, right? Engineers at core are innovators. As innovators, we tend to move to the next thing. That's inbuilt into the engineering culture. What I mean by that is, when I was a student, HTML, CSS was considered to be like the thing, right? And we were learning that. But now it's like almost like, hey, it's easily available. It's a raw skill that you can easily master in like a few months, right? So now people have moved on to more tougher things. That's exactly what's going to happen with the AI world as well. Like things are going to get, with things that are lower in the stack are going to get more easier, and that means as engineers we have to move to more tougher things, right? So it's a good thing. It's the more you learn how to get AI as a tool that you can use, the more it's going to be better for your future prospectors. At the end of the day, again, like the reason I'm stressing so much back on this is coding was only 10% of the puzzle, right? So if AI can do that 10% of the puzzle, you still need to
yes,
apply the buttons for the other 90%. How are you going to catch all the negative scenarios? How are you going to build the infrastructure around it? How are you going to build metrics? What are your alarms? What does your customer want? What features customers usually use? Which ones they do not use, right? Which ones are highly like binary, right? Like for example, you have a website, you need to log in. That needs to have a 0% failure rate, right? Almost
yes,
0%. Because a login failure is a complete blocker to your entire experience, right? So now that's where you build these systems, alarms, metrics. You still apply your brain on top of what AI is giving you, right? It also means now you're going to have way more that you can do, right? Building startups is way easier. Building apps, building websites is a little bit more easier. I'm not saying AI can build fully productional uh, apps right now. Straight like vibe coding has a limitation today. It may overcome those limitations sooner than later, but right now it has certain limitations. Like uh, if I go on Claude and I try to build an app, it's going to build it's easily able to build a MVP for me, but can it productionize the app right now? It cannot. Does it think about how to connect to backend, how to put certain limitations on the backend, right? I've heard some horror stories where like people who vibe coded apps ended up getting like $40,000 bills for their AWS or Google Cloud services, right? So you again, that's because nobody thought about the guardrails, right? So those guardrails you still need to build. So if I was a software engineer starting out today, I would work on hardcore up leveling my AI skill sets, which means how can I be a 10x force multiplier, right? Like you are an engineer, you can build logics, right? If AI can code for you, can you do 5 features at one time? Because now you don't need to code the logic. You can give the logic to AI in an efficient way that it understands it enough to go do it itself, right? So are you able to communicate that to the AI in an efficient way? So that is also a skill set that needs, that's not that easy, right? As easy as it sounds, it's not really that easy because there are, as you go into bigger systems, there are way more nuances, there are way more permutation combinations, and way more different things that are happening around you, right? So as a software engineer, if I was starting out, I wouldn't be worried. I wouldn't get caught up in the noise of, hey, there are no jobs for software engineer nonsense. There are a lot of jobs, there are going to be more jobs. And I would just focus, be hyper focused on how can I best use AI agents and be like speedily develop things. I would heavily work on making my GitHub profile really efficient, and I would make my GitHub profile. I'm just going back. My GitHub profile, I can share it with you. Complete mess. Here's what I would do differently this time, right? I would say go clean up your GitHub code, right? Now you have AI agents to do that, so you don't have to do that. Go clean up your code. Create a README file. Create a quick working video of your GitHub repo and put it up there on your README file, right? Now, when you send out your resume, you can actually be very blunt and say, hey, I used AI, but you know what? Look at my GitHub repo. Like 90% of the GitHub repos, like they want you to clone a repository and
Yes,
figure
sir.
out and debug the code. Who like, I'm telling you internally, a recruiter does not have time for that. It really does not have time for that. But if you put a README file with a video on it, they definitely have time for that. So I'm gonna, as a recruiter, I'm gonna go to the video and I'm gonna say, like, oh, okay. I click on the video, I see a functional video, I see a README file which says like what the system architecture was, how you built it, what are the things that you thought about. Boom! I'm like, okay, this guy is like already using AI because he's got all of this mess cleaned up. So think about AI as that tool which can help you do all of these things that you would actually not do, right? You would just leave. How many hackathons have you participated? And just go back and look at the GitHub repo for
Yes,
those
sir.
hackathons. Usually you just leave them after the hackathon. You're like,
Yes, sir.
okay, I'm done. Either I won or I did not win, but I'm done. Now use AI to go back there and clean them up. Put a README file, put a video, right? That's where you are actually one step closer to production. That's what will catch recruiters, senior leadership's eyes, right? And that's what actually proves that you wrote a code that actually worked. The README file will show that you built systems that that were beyond a weekend, that were beyond a hackathon. You are documenting it like a professional or an industry person now. I would do all of that. I would really like again use AI to trim my and polish my resume, and I think you guys are doing a great job too because you are connecting with industry professionals, you're talking to them, right? Like you are getting these insights that are really valuable, so you know what they are looking for. Connect with more people, and the more people you connect with on LinkedIn, talk to them, get their approach, get your resume peer reviewed, get your resume reviewed from industry professionals, and then go out, start applying, and start giving interviews. The way interviews are taken are also getting changed with the AI world, but that's part of engineering. Like 10 years ago, like when I first started, my first coding round was a whiteboard interview, right? This is 2012. By the time I got into Amazon, I did a completely online interview where we actually had a website and I was writing code on a website, right? And now in 2024, I 2020, like 2026, I don't know, like maybe we are doing, maybe we could do like AI agent interviews. So like, I
Yes.
don't know, like we're going towards it. So if you look at it, even in my professional career in like 13 years, so much has changed. We went from like writing a code on whiteboard where every semicolon mattered to going to a website which already had some autofill help to going to like AI agents. So it's going to always evolve. Don't get caught up in that noise. Be hyper focused on what your end goal is and how you can achieve it. There are ways to get there. And if you just stay hyper focused, you will land good jobs. There is no need to be fearful about the market that hey, AI is going to take over everything. That's not true.
Yes, sir.
Happening.
Sir, on that, like we have to first build our foundation around whatever specialization we are going to pursue, and we have to continue that simply being focused, and we do not have to change our mind based on our like environment, what they say, what our colleagues say. Like we have to do a research on that, then
Correct. And
act.
it's easy to be scared, right? You suddenly see, oh, layoffs are happening. Oh my God, Amazon laid off so many people,
Yes,
Meta
sir.
laid off so many people, Google is laying off, everybody's laying off. Yeah, sure. So did in 2008, right? So what? So did in 2000, right? Like if you look at IT industry overall, this has happened every decade. There has not been a single decade where, there was not a sudden reduction in force. This happens every single time. And the market recovers. That's cyclic in its own nature. That's beyond your control. That's not in your control. What is in your control is like, hey, how can you build these systems? How can you polish your code? How can you polish your GitHub repos? How can you put everything that you have built into a document that somebody can easily read? How can you use AI to do all of that for you? That's in your control, right? How can you then put it on resume that hey, I've been using AI in such a way to polish my GitHub repo. I've been using AI. Maybe create your own website, right? Get a domain. I think
Yes.
get a domain, create your own website, publish it, right? That's proof of work, right? That's straight up productionized website working with your name on it that you can send it out to any of. I have my own website that I created a long time ago, so you can do that too,
Yes.
right? And that's proof of work. Like hey, I can get something in production and working and consistently working, and here's the proof of it. Nothing works like that. So stick to that.
Sir, like metric, I'm just asking for a metric. What do you define as a success metric for a student? Like, what comes in your mind when you think like a student generally says like he want to be successful. On that, what metric should be like on what 3 to 4 factors or number of factors or a different perspective, whatever you have. What's a metric you say or you have for a success? As a student, you think?
I think it's success is very um, personal in nature, right? It depends upon how far you want to stretch it and how you want to balance other things in life, right? Like it's very tricky, like how to define success, right? Every person will define it differently. Some people will be like really ambitious and their point of view of success will be to like hey, I need to become a manager in next 10 years, right? That's their goal. Some people will have like would like to balance a little bit more about around their work life balance. They'll be like hey, I don't care if I become a manager. I care if I can take some backpacking trips, if I can do hiking, if I can do other extracurricular activities, right? And then you will have straight up some people who will have different family situations, financial situations, and they will be like, hey, I need to take care of my mom, right? I need to take care of my dad, right? As you grow up, all these things will come into play into what exactly defines success for you. So it's very fluid. So if you start thinking about what is success in 10 years down the line, you're going to have a tough time because life is not, like I'm telling from experience, life is not that predictable, right? Like as humans, we try to like plan things, but life is uncertain. So always set some short-term goals for yourself. Even if you have some strategic vision, let's say you want to become a manager in 10 years, right? Like, sure, you want to become a manager in 10 years. That's fine. But you need to have a 6 month goal. You need to have a 1 year goal. You need to have a 2 year goal. And success is a little bit more achievable than just saying like I want to become manager in 10 years, right? Or 5 years or whatever is your goal. So you will be able to have more successes if you dissect your goals into smaller pieces, and you will be able to celebrate more also, and it will help you build a rhythm, right? Like, it can be as small as like, hey, I need to land an internship in next 1 year. Like for you could say like, hey, I want to be an intern at some company next 1 year. It could be like, hey, I need to complete like 2 hackathons in next 1 year. Put some small term goals that can directionally align with your long term goal, right? And don't get like too caught up in the long term vision of it, because things will change, things will evolve. You as a human being will change, right? Like your
Yes, yes.
priorities will change. You will have a family, you'll be like, oh, now I don't want to spend so much time at work. You will have kids and you'll be like, oh, I don't want to spend so much time there. So it will be an evolving thing. So your metrics to success should be like creating small term goals and achieving them, because that is when you can be hyper focused. When you will create these long term big goals, work towards them directionally, but don't get too caught up, like, and don't get frustrated like, oh, I have no part to becoming manager, jobs are going away, middle management is getting laid off. It's fine. You don't know what it will be in 10 years, right? So for now, just put small goals, celebrate those successes. Like even if you guys are hosting this hackathon, that's a success story. That's a goal accomplished. That is a success metric. You're one step closer. Even if it's a small step, you are one step closer to being what you wanted to be. You should always do those small success stories and then celebrate those. Take a day or 2 days off, celebrate it with your friends. That's success. And in long term, things will fall in place. Some parts of it are also a little bit luck driven, right? Like you will sometimes you are not. Sometimes it's like you are not at the right place at the right time, and so you may become manager in the 11th year instead of the 10th year. That doesn't mean like you're suddenly a failure. You're still successful. You did all these micro steps. It's just that 10th year was a recession year. You didn't become manager, right? That's beyond your control. So
Yes.
stay hyper focused on things that are in your control. The things that are out of your control, the economy, the market, the AI, that's not in your control. What is in your control is a short term goal. Holding this hackathon was in your control, and you did it. That's a win, right? Again, like when I say 1 year you want to land an internship. Let's say next year you don't have an internship. Still, it's fine. You're working towards it. Maybe the market is really bad. Maybe 6 months down the line, market will be really good, and you will have two internship offers. So don't be so hard up, caught up on your goals that you forget all the hard work that you've put into it, right? It can be frustrating. It can be frustrating when you're applying. You're getting a lot of rejections. So always take small goals and see if you're able to achieve them. Even if you're applying for internships, put small goals. Did you apply for 100 internships? That's a goal. And if you did, like how many of those came back for an interview? Right? Okay, you got like 10 interviews. That means your resume has a 10% success rate. Is that good enough? Right?
Yes.
Okay. How many out of those 10 did you actually convert? Let's say you converted zero, right? That's fine. Go back to the drawing board, see where you're going wrong. Don't get disheartened. Don't think it's a failure. Life is too big. You will only learn. Every failed interview is a learning curve. So there's no need to be hard with yourself. Go back. It's very important to reevaluate where you went wrong. Go back to the board. Figure out why those 10 interviews went wrong. Actually write down every single question and answer that went through those interviews. Create like a whole journal. That's what I did. By the time
Yes.
I gave all my interviews, I had like 100 questions and answers. right? And at that point, the number of questions had exhausted. So I had basically like given so many interviews that I basically knew all the questions that were getting asked in the industry, right? So I just had this huge database now with all the questions and answers that are getting asked around. Nowadays, you guys have lead code. Back in the day, there was no lead code. So back in the day, it was just manual. But document it. See which question, where you went wrong, go back, learn it. There is just a limited amount of failures that you can face. You're eventually going to hit success. Just don't give up. The only
Yes.
I will I will give you an inverse answer. The only failure criteria is when you give up. Everything else is a success. As long as you haven't given up, you are on path to success. Just don't give up. This failed interview, move on. Go to the next one. You failed another one, that's fine. Bad day. Move on. Go to the next one. Just keep going to the next one. Learn from it, go to the next one. Learn from it, go to the next one. Success is unavoidable if you are on that journey. Failure will only hit you the day you give up. The day you are like, oh, I can't do anymore, I don't want to give any more interviews, that day is a failure day. Everything else is a success criteria.
Thank you, sir, for that. Like, it amazed me a bit. Like, I have a different view of success. Like, you have talked about long-term goals. I used to make that, and based on that, I used to do things like for a 6 month period, I have made a goal. I do not even like divide it in small parts or so. I would do that, and it is quite a learning from you.
Yeah, divide it into like monthly goal
Yes,
and
sir.
celebrate it. Like be happy, like you hit a monthly goal. Right? What you would happen is like you may hit 5 goals in a row for 5 months, and the sixth month goal might not converge. But that does
Yes.
not mean you did bad. You did all the things right. The timing was not right. But see, the timing is not in your control. That's part of destiny, whatever you call it, depending on your beliefs, right? That's beyond your control. But that's fine. You still did the 5 steps. Maybe the sixth month was not your timing, but the seventh month might be, right? So you still hit the goal just a month later. And in the grand scheme of things, it's totally fine. 1 month here and there doesn't change your life a lot. So
Thank you,
that's
sir.
still success. That's still success. Just don't give up. If you give up when the 6 month goal doesn't hit, then that's a failure because you stopped at that point, right? Don't stop. Go to the seventh month, go to the eighth month, go to the ninth month. It's going to hit at some point. Because like the thing about timing, the good thing about timing is that you cannot, like, even though you cannot control it, it always rotates. So there is, as long as there is a bad patch, there will be a good patch. Same thing is going to happen with engineering. Like if this is the bad patch for all the engineers, and this is the bad patch where jobs are tough to find, there is going to be a time after this when jobs are going to be easy to find. It's cyclic in nature. You just have to wait it out and not give up. That's the key.
Thank you, sir, for your time and mentorship.
Yeah,
And
of course.
yes, sir.
Yeah, of course, it's really nice. Like I think what you guys are doing is amazing. I think it's very important as engineers to have a community that you guys are building here. Even the events that you guys are organizing, it's an amazing thing that you all are doing. It's at such a young age. I think that's beautiful. Like some of you are going to go to Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and this community that you build is actually going to help you out a lot in the long run, right? Like that's what I mean. I didn't build a community, but all my friends, they went on to have like good positions in big companies. Then you will end up with a great network of people who you can refer, who can refer you, vice versa, and that's just great for your career. So keep doing what you're doing. This is amazing. Don't stop.
Thank you, sir, for your time.
Of
And
course.
yes, sir. And we would be connected like on other platforms. Or I would like to have another interview, like for your time and that. Sorry, sir, not interview, like a podcast or so. I just missed. I
No
just
problem.
slipped. Maybe.
No
Uh,
problem. Of course. Of course, anytime, let me know. I'll be happy to jump on another call. We can do it sooner or later, whenever you guys are free. This time slot actually works nicely for me. So we can catch up anytime soon. Let me know when you guys, like if you guys are planning to air this somewhere. So Always happy to help.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Let's end this.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone on the call. Take care.